India is a member of three multilateral export control regimes, the Missile Technology Control Regime, Wassenaar Arrangement and Australia Group. It has signed and ratified the Biological Weapons Convention and the Chemical Weapons Convention. India is also a subscribing state to the Hague Code of Conduct. India has signed neither the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty nor the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, considering both to be flawed and discriminatory. 12. India previously possessed chemical weapons, but voluntarily destroyed its entire stockpile in 2009, one of the 7 countries to meet the OPCW extended deadline. 13. India maintains a no first use nuclear policy and has developed a nuclear triad capability as a part of its minimum credible deterrence doctrine. 14-15. India has a biotechnology infrastructure that includes numerous pharmaceutical production facilities and bio-containment laboratories, including BSL-3 and BSL-4, for working with lethal pathogens. It also has scientists with expertise in infectious diseases. Some of India's facilities are being used to support research and development for biological weapons, BW, defense purposes. India has ratified the Biological Weapons Convention, BWC, and pledges to abide by its obligations. There is no clear evidence, circumstantial or otherwise, that directly points toward an offensive BW program. India does possess the scientific capability and infrastructure to launch an offensive BW program. In terms of delivery, India also possesses the capability to produce aerosols and has numerous potential delivery systems ranging from crop dusters to sophisticated ballistic missiles. 16. No information exists in the public domain suggesting interest by the Indian government in delivery of biological agents by these or any other means. To reiterate the latter point, in October 2002, the then President A. J. Abdul Kalam asserted that India will not make biological weapons. It is cruel to human beings. 16. In 1992, India signed the Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC, stating that it did not have chemical weapons and the capacity or intent to manufacture chemical weapons. Citation needed. By doing this, India became one of the original signatories of the CWC in 1993, 17, and ratified it on 2 September 1996. According to India's ex-Army Chief General Sundarji, a country having the capability of making nuclear weapons does not need to have chemical weapons, since the dread of chemical weapons could be created only in those countries that do not have nuclear weapons. Others suggested that the fact that India has found chemical weapons dispensable highlighted its confidence in the conventional weapons system at its command. In June 1997, India declared its stock of chemical weapons, 1,045 tons of sulfur mustard. 18-19. By the end of 2006, India had destroyed more than 75% of its chemical weapons material stockpile and was granted extension for destroying the remaining stocks by April 2009 and was expected to achieve 100% destruction within that time frame. 18. India informed the United Nations in May 2009 that it had destroyed its stockpile of chemical weapons in compliance with the International Chemical Weapons Convention. With this, India has become third country after South Korea and Albania to do so. 2021. This was cross-checked by inspectors of the United Nations. India has an advanced commercial chemical industry, and produces the bulk of its own chemicals for domestic consumption. It is also widely acknowledged that India has an extensive civilian chemical and pharmaceutical industry and annually exports considerable quantities of chemicals to countries such as the United Kingdom, United States and Taiwan. 22. India built its first research reactor in 1956 and its first plutonium reprocessing plant by 1964. 24, 25, 26. India's nuclear program can trace its origins to March 1944 and its three-stage efforts in technology were established by Homi Jehangir Bhabha when he founded the Nuclear Research Centre, the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. 27-28. India's loss to China in a brief Himalayan border war in October 1962, provided the New Delhi government impetus for developing nuclear weapons as a means of deterring potential Chinese aggression. 29. By 1964 India was in a position to develop nuclear weapons. 30. India first tested a nuclear device in 1974 code-named Smiling Buddha, under Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, which it called a peaceful nuclear explosion. The test used plutonium produced in the Canadian-supplied Cirrus reactor, and raised concerns that nuclear technology supplied for peaceful purposes could be diverted to weapons purposes. This also stimulated the early work of the Nuclear Suppliers Group. 31. India performed further nuclear tests in 1998 code-named Operation Shakti under Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. In 1998, as a response to the continuing tests, the United States and Japan imposed sanctions on India, which have since been lifted. According to Indian defense experts, India is thoroughly prepared to deal with any eventuality, with their armed forces already reinforcing their forward positions in the high-altitude region to counter any new military build-ups from the Chinese, as they look at Beijing to make the first move. Today, the 11th of September, as Indian and Chinese foreign ministers successfully concluded meeting in Moscow, there were reports that the Indian side had highlighted its strong objection at the massing of PLA soldiers and military equipment along the LAC without any credible explanation for the deployment. According to intelligence gathered from top Indian officials by Times Now, China has positioned around 50,000 troops, air missile systems, a large section of rocket forces and 150 fighters along with bombers and other jets at airbases based in Xinjiang and Tibet, within a striking distance of the de facto border, their largest buildup of troops in the region. Although, a top official source has played down the situation stating that the People's Liberation Army (PLA) are resorting to pinpricking and their deployment has not reached the threshold of a full-blown conflict. PLA troop deployments along the line of actual control (LAC) in eastern Ladakh are not tactically geared for war as of now. But yes, the pinpricks will continue, said the official. However, India has steered a clear warning towards Beijing against breaching the Indian perimeter around its forward posts, which includes barbed wire establishments on the heights. They constitute a red line. In fact, nowhere are we underprepared now, the official said. As India, China reach consensus, should New Delhi and Beijing redraft the 1996 Peace Pact. New Delhi's warning to Beijing comes at the back of bullets being fired in Mukpari Top in the Chushul sector on Monday, September 7, the first time in 45 years in the Ladakh region. The PLA has been steadily bolstering its buildup in the region since May, which includes troops participating in a military exercise in Tibet. According to intelligence from the top officials, the PLA troops are working under the direct instructions of Beijing, and if the actions lead to a war, China will have to pay a big price. Nuclear-armed fighter bombers were India's first and only nuclear-capable strike force until 2003, when the country's first land-based nuclear ballistic missiles were fielded. 41. In addition to their ground attack role, it is believed that the Dassault Mirage 2000s and SEPECAT Jaguars of the Indian Air Force are able to provide a secondary nuclear strike role. 42. The SEPECAT Jaguar was designed to be able to carry and deploy nuclear weapons, and the Indian Air Force has identified the jet as being capable of delivering Indian nuclear weapons. 43. The most likely delivery method would be the use of bombs that are free-falling and unguided. 44. 3 airbases with 4 squadrons of Mirage 2000H, about 16 aircraft with 16 bombs from 1st and 7th Squadrons of the 40th Wing at Maharajpur Air Force Station, and Jaguar is IB, about 32 aircraft with 32 bombs from 1 squadron each at Ambala Air Force Station and Gorakhpur Air Force Station. Aircraft are believed to be assigned the nuclear strike role. 41. The estimated 68 nuclear warheads, 41, of land-based nuclear weapons of India are under the control of and deployed by the Strategic Forces Command, 45, using a variety of both vehicles and launching silos. They currently consist of 3 different types of ballistic missiles, the Agni-I, the Agni-II, Agni-III and the Army's variant of the Prithvi missile family, the Prithvi-I. Additional variants of the Agni missile series have recently been inducted, including the most recent, the Agni IV-46, and the Agni V, which is currently being deployed. 47. Agni V is also under development, with an estimated range of 8,000–12,000 kilometers and features such as multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, MIRVs, or maneuverable re-entry vehicles, MARVs. 48–49. The first is a submarine-launched system consisting of at least 4 6,000-ton, nuclear-powered, ballistic missile submarines of the Arahant class. The first vessel, INS Arahant, has been launched and will complete extensive sea trials before being commissioned and declared operational. She is the first nuclear-powered submarine to be built by India. 52–53. A CIA report claimed that Russia provided technological aid to the naval nuclear propulsion program. 54–55. The submarines will be armed with up to 12 Sagarika K-15 missiles armed with nuclear warheads. Sagarika is a submarine-launched ballistic missile with a range of 700 kilometers. This missile has a length of 8.5 meters, weighs 7 tons and can carry a payload of up to 500 kilograms. 56. Sagarika has already been test-fired from an underwater pontoon, but now DRDO is planning a full-fledged test of the missile from a submarine and for this purpose may use the services of the Russian Navy. 57. India's DRDO is also working on a submarine-launched ballistic missile version of the Agni-3 missile, known as the Agni-3 SL. According to Indian defense sources, the Agni-3 SL will have a range of 3,500 kilometers (2,200 miles). 58. The new missile will complement the older and less capable Sagarika submarine-launched ballistic missiles. However, the Arahant-class ballistic missile submarines will be only capable of carrying a maximum of 4 Agni-3 SL. The second is a ship-launched system based around the short-range ship-launched Dhanush ballistic missile, a variant of the Prithvi missile. It has a range of around 300 kilometers. In the year 2000 the missile was test-fired from In Subhadra, a Sukanya-class patrol craft. In Subhadra was modified for the test and the missile was launched from the reinforced helicopter deck. The results were considered partially successful. 59. In 2004, the missile was again tested from In Subhadra and this time the results were reported successful. 60. In December 2005 the missile was tested again, but this time from the destroyer INS Rajput. The test was a success with the missile hitting the land-based target. 61.